Hello and welcome to the Satluj TV podcast. The BJP is commonly accepted as the political wing of the militant extremist organisation, the RSS. This organisation's stated goal has been the establishment of a Hindu Rashtra, populated exclusively by a superior Hindu race. In recent years, as India has increasingly sunk into an authoritarian-style rule under the BJP, it's not surprising, therefore, that parallels have been drawn to the rise of the Nazi regime in 1930s Germany, which similarly advocated for a superior race based upon nationalist politics. And the similarities don't stop there. So to discuss the evidence that history may be repeating itself, I'm joined today by our regular guest, Dr. Singh Grewal MD. Dr. Grewal, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us once again today.
Good morning, Angus. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. So, what we like to discuss, echoes of the past, comparing Nazi fascism and Hindu nationalism in contemporary India. So, my thesis is history doesn't repeat itself word for word, it repeats itself in patterns. When society drifts towards a majoritarian nationalism, certain recurring features emerge. Cult worship of the nation, demonization of the minorities, propaganda, erosion of democratic safeguards, and steady merging of party, state, and ideology. Scholars of authoritarianism often compare modern movement to earliest fascist regimes, not because the outcomes are identical, but because understanding the trajectory of is essential to prevent catastrophe. The rise of RSS BJP combined in India share multiple structural similarities with the rise of Nazi movement in Germany. The scale and context differ, but the ideological architecture, political strategies, and treatment of minorities carrying unsettling resonances. For Punjab and Sikh community, understanding these patterns is not merely an academic exercise. It is crucial for survival, political clarity, and safeguarding their language, culture, and freedom. So we can discuss this further. First is what's ideological foundation for these things, race and religion as a political weapon. Nazi ideology was built on the myth of Aryan racial superiority in a different cultural setting. The RS constructed the ideology of Hindutva, which defined India as a Hindu civilization where minorities can live only if they accept subordination. Both movements, Nazis and Hindutva, view the majority identity as a true national identity, portray minorities as historical enemies, rely on mythological histories to legitimize their claims, fuse religion, culture with nationalism to justify political dominance. Nazi Germany's racial purity doctrine and RS Hindu Rashtra ideology share the same psychological foundation. The nation belongs to one community and the others must assimilate or be excluded. How is this constructed? The enemy within. Fascism requires an internal enemy to mobilize the masses. For the Nazis, it was the Jews. For RSS, BJP, it is primarily Muslims. To some extent, other minorities like Sikhs, Dalits, etc. Both movements describe the target minority as foreign, impure, disloyal, demographic threat, civilization danger. Nazis' rhetoric claimed Jews were plotting against Germany. Hindutva propaganda paints Muslims as invaders, terrorists, or demographic conspirators. Love jihad and population jihad they are blamed for. The strategy is classic. Sow fear, create polarization, then consolidate political power. How they use manufactured consent, the propaganda state. Nazi Germany perfected the machinery of propaganda through central control of press, radio, education, and arts. In India, media is not fully state controlled, but most major television networks echo government talking points. Dissenting journalists are targeted with raids or surveillance. Social media misinformation machinery is deployed at industrial scale. Textbooks are being rewritten to erase the Mughal period, minimize Sikh history, and elevate a mythical Hindu past. This mirrors the Nazi obsession with the rewriting German history to glorify Aryans. A society whose memory is reshaped becomes easier to rule. So they are teaching that how glorified their past was and they want to bring that back. How they do legal engineering and democratic backsliding. Authoritarian movements often use democratic processes to destroy democracy from within. Nazi Germany did this through Enabling Act, which transformed Hitler's government into a dictatorship. RSS BJP employs legal and institutional tools like Citizens Amendment Act, NRC to redefine citizens along religious lines, UPA, sedition laws, FCRA to silence NGOs and dissenters, weakens federalism by reducing state autonomy. You've seen what's happening in Punjab. Now they want to take over the Chandigarh permanently, controlling universities, courts, election bodies, and media. There are many recent examples I think can be discussed. The strategy is not to abolish democracy outright, but to hollow it from within, maintaining elections while undermining accountability. The next, what they do is paramilitary structure and youth indoctrination. RSS, Bajrang Dal, and Vishwa Hindu Parishad operate in a paramilitary style reminiscent of Nazi SS, SA, and Hitler Youth. RS Shakas train cadres with ideological lessons, martial drills, regimental discipline, ideological loyalty to organization. This mirrors how totalitarian regimes cultivate a loyal militant base that can be mobilized during elections, protests, and communal tensions. So here I'm going to show, if you can see, this is a recent book I came across. I think you have a copy you can add maybe.
Indeed,
Yes.
Dr. Grewal, there we are. I'm showing it up on screen now.
So it's written by Indian author, available on the Amazon. It documents how they are targeting Muslims and killing them. And this is done by using the neighbors against neighbor. So very similar to RSS ideology. So how they do? Violence, organized genocide versus systemic majoritarian brutality. It is essential to state clearly, India has not yet carried out a genocide on the scale of Nazi Germany. We're talking BJP, we are not talking about what Congress did to Sikhs. So it's not that genocide has not happened there to the same extent, but now we are talking about 2014 onwards. However, lynching of Muslims, the book we showed, bulldozer demolitions, communal pogroms, policy complicity, discriminating laws, hate speeches by elected officials reflect pattern of early stage fascism. The logic of violence is similar even if the scale is not. So what they do, they define the minority as dangerous, incite the majority emotionally, use decentralized violence, provide political protection to perpetrators. They do the crime and then also deny. This approach allows plausible deniability while achieving same goal, instilling fear and enforcing second-class citizenship. How the cult of the leader is established. Hitler became the embodiment of German destiny beyond criticism, beyond accountability. Similarly, Narendra Modi has been elevated to mythical status. I was surprised to hear in America an Indian saying how great Modi is at the Ram Janmabhoomi, place of Ram's birth on Diwali. He arranged lighting of those small candles. If that's the success of the country, you measure it. So they saying Modi is the only leader who can save India. The incorruptible father figure, even though he's not a father, the visionary who restores Hindu pride. Such cult weakens institutions. When the leader becomes the nation, dissent becomes the treason. So let's say one more time. Such cult weakens institutions when the leader becomes the nation. So now nation and Modi has become one, dissent becomes the treason. So all the minorities are now treason and they can be punished. How they use economic power and political power which merge together. Fascist regime rely on strong alliance with the industrial and economic elites. In India, Adani, Ambani, and select conglomerates have gained extraordinary political proximity. Adani, he's even under prosecution in India, but he has not, in the US, but he has not shown up yet. They won't let US serve warrants to him. So economic power is increasingly centralized. Privatization and crony capitalism flourish. Economic dependency tightens political control like Nazi corporate nexus. What is the effect of all this? Impact on Punjab, Sikhs and India's pluralism. For Punjab and the Sikhs, the rise of Hindutva carries special dangers. They are rewriting Sikh history as a subset of Hinduism, undermining Punjabi language and federal rights, centralizing power in Delhi, interfering Sikh institution, SGPCs, now universities, Punjab universities having major problem reducing the space for minority identity. Nazi Germany destroyed pluralism entirely. Hindutva seeks to recast India into monocultural Hindu state, leaving little room for Sikh ethos of equality, diversity, and freedom. They want to bring back the caste-ridden society. So in conclusion, understanding the warnings of history. Comparing the two movements is not about claiming identical outcome. It is about recognizing structural parallels that historically precede authoritarian collapse. Cult of majority, demonizing of minorities, propaganda dominance, institutional capture, paramilitary culture, suppression of dissent, leader worship, legal discrimination. These patterns are dangerous not only for Muslims, but for all minorities, including the Sikhs. History teaches one lesson repeatedly. Majoritarian nationalism, if unchecked, always ends in the destruction of freedom, institutions, and societal harmony. So let's say one more time. Majoritarian nationalism, which is the RSS ideology, if unchecked, always ends in the destruction of freedom, institution, and social harmony. So Punjab and All who believe in Guru Nanak's vision of equality must understand these patterns clearly. Awareness is the first step towards resistance. We have talked about how to fight tyranny before. So I think this is my conclusion. The Nazis of the past and the the Nazis of India today, are very similar. If the world doesn't pay attention, the minorities don't fight it together, it's going to be Holocaust at a larger scale, never seen. Indian Muslims are 14.5%, something like that. They will have no qualms about killing each one of them, and also the Sikhs.
Dr. Grewal, if I can just pick up on one or two points in your presentation there that I found particularly interesting. The parallels are very clear. I'd find it very concerning indeed, actually, that the parallels are so close that clearly there is this sort of, as I said in the introduction, a sinking into authoritarianism that is akin to 1930s Germany. But one particular area I find most concerning and indeed most insidious is the targeting of youth. And you mentioned in your presentation the RSS youth. And we do know, for example, Narendra Modi himself was a member of the RSS youth wing. And the RSS, ever since even its first roots in the 19th century, they had a very clear plan, a very clear agenda, this Hindu Rashtra, this superior race of Hindus that they're trying to grow into the Hindu Rashtra, to the exclusivity of everyone else. But what they are doing is it is a form of indoctrination. And that indoctrination is particularly targeted at the young. So as they grow up, they become future advocates for the RSS. Narendra Modi was a member of the RSS youth. And of course, this does reflect very closely the Hitler Youth, which again was very highly publicized after the war as being a very powerful part of Nazi Germany. Can you talk us through your opinion of the RSS youth and also, of course, the targeting of Punjabi youth, for example, in terms of changing textbooks, rewriting history, removing the language from the schools in Punjab? Again, it's targeting the young. What's your opinion on that, Dr. Grewal?
That's a good question. So, Hindu Mahasabha, one of the founders early on was Dr. B.S. Munje. Their goal was to re-establish Hindu superiority because they said centuries of Mughal rule, which they call Muslim rule, has affected their culture. B.S. Munje went to Italy and he became very admirer of Mussolini. So they saw Mussolini's organization, how he trained the youth. When he came back, this was in their mind. When Gandhi, so-called Mahatma, which I don't like saying, the great soul, when he came back from Round Table Conference, he also went to Italy before he came to India. He also became admirer of Mussolini. Dr. Hedgewar, who was from Nagpur, was also B.S. Munje's follower. He met Gandhi in 1924 in his ashram and discussed how to have resurgence of Hinduism, Hindu nationalism. Next year, maybe not even a year, 1925, he starts the RSS. There's one goal in mind, that they are going to prepare the youth to fight Islam and to get rid of Islam from India. They became very powerful. Even before partition, they had their so-called shakas, so many cities, even in what now became Pakistan, they had shakas. They militarized them, they gave them weapons, and they trained them. So this is going on for almost 100 years. 1947, when India was partitioned, some Muslims didn't feel like they had to go to Pakistan. They stayed in India, especially the cities in Delhi and central India. These people were so organized, they will go kill those poor people who decided to stay in India. And they had their presence well preserved in police. When the government will tell them go arrest them, the police will inform them before they could do anything. So they were so penetrated even in the administration. The Prime Minister Nehru had a hard time controlling. They will call him in Parliament Maulana Nehru. They so disliked him. I'm not admiring him, but I'm just stating what happened historically. So they were killing even after 1947 the people who left in. So they have been doing this. Now they have a different structure. They call them Veers. They want them to join the military for 5 years or so. So they'll train them, supply weapons, and they think they are going to get rid of all the Muslims, even from Pakistan, and purify their culture and the land. Just a couple of days ago, maybe not a couple of days, maybe only one day ago, the Indian defense minister was saying how they are going to reclaim Sindh, that's the province in Pakistan. So the port of Karachi is a part of Sindh. So this is their not only propaganda, this is their ambition. So they have been working as a paramilitary organization. Unfortunately, the people, even the Sikhs, did not see it coming. When we were in school and college, you will see them training, going to their shakas with bamboo sticks. We used to laugh at them. What are they going to do? We didn't realize how organized and strong they were becoming. So this is the problem. When you don't pay attention in the beginning, then you had to face the consequences. Yes, they are a paramilitary organization. They were banned when they killed Gandhi for 2-3 years, something like that. But later on, because they were so powerful, they said, okay, we are not political, we are a social organization. So they got the freedom again, they restarted. Then they created this BJP. BJP is the political party of RSS. So same ideology. All these are founded by Brahmins. RSS founded by a Brahmin, Hindu Mahasabha founded by a Brahmin, and BJP was founded by Brahmin. So this is the sad situation. This 4 to 5% of the people want to control India. Then after Dr. Hedgewar died, the next comes a Golwalker. He was even worse. He learned from Gandhi. He had a long hair, spread out, beard and all that. So he looked like a sadhu, but he was very poisonous. His indoctrination of young people has created worse than the founder. So this is how they have been working, and now they have, I won't say complete, almost complete control of the society. Nobody dares to oppose them because they are so powerful.
And Dr. Grewal, one of the, I suppose, the other ways that a nation sinks into eventual an authoritarian rule in the way that Germany did in the 1930s, as seems to be the case in India at the moment, is that the change that comes about, this grabbing of power, usually happens slowly through small incremental steps. People don't realise until it's too late that they have suddenly lost democratic control or accountability of their government. And of course, that's what happened in Germany and seems to be the case in India. But also another feature of that power grab of these authoritarian regimes is usually quite often they will take advantage of a situation. There may be an incident, it might be an attack, it'll be some form, usually a form of violent attack or something, or an incident, and they use that as a reason to suddenly start imposing greater control. And it almost gifts these regimes the opportunity to seize power. Now, of course, we do know that happened in Germany. Do you feel that's also reflected in India?
Yes, they take advantage of the situation, but sometimes they create a situation people don't know. So then they seek that opportunity to strengthen their power and control the society. So there are three parallels that we can discuss. One from Germany, one from Russia, then we talk about India. So 1933, Hitler was only in power for about a month. There were fire in Reichstag, that's their parliament, on February 27, 1933. So immediately after the fire, he blamed the communist conspiracy. Hitler appointed chancellor less than a month earlier, seized the moment to demand emergency powers. President Hindenburg signed the Reichstag fire decree, which suspended civil liberties, including freedom of speech, press, assembly, and privacy of communications. This decree allowed mass arrest of political opponents, primarily communists and social democrats. These actions paved the way for an enabling act. That was the act used in March 1933. This allowed Hitler to rule by decree and effectively dismantle the Weimar Republic of 2008. The fire, whether spontaneously or facilitated, became a turning point in enabling the Nazi regime to consolidate totalitarian power. You know, Hitler had the agreement with the army that they would not do this. But within a month, they created the circumstances which allowed him to become a dictator and a tyrant. So similarly, in Moscow, there was a 1999, there was a destruction of multiple buildings in Moscow, killing nearly 300 people. The Russian government immediately blamed Chechen terrorists, providing justification for launching the Second Chechen War, 2003. The conflict generated enormous public support for then Prime Minister Putin, elevating him from relative obscurity to a strongman figure. Several analysts and defectors, including former leader Alexander Levinsko, alleged that the bombing may have been false flag operation by Russian security services. So you see, they take advantage of situation, but many times they create a situation because they have no sympathy even with their own people, killing them to use for power grab. Similarly, 2019, Pulwama attack, Indian government created a Pulwama attack where the Indian military people died, and they blame Pakistan, and then they bombed Balakot airstrike, which was just a kind of sham operation. They bombarded some area where there was nothing, and they claimed victory, and that helped Modi win the 2019 elections. So Hitler, Putin, and Modi used this opportunity, and most likely, I think if you're intelligent enough and analyze, you can understand they created this situation to grab power. So recently, this year in April, there was a killing in Pahalgam. So Pahalgam is a tourist area in Kashmir where they, after so many years, there were tourists going and they had army everywhere. But all of a sudden, there was no security forces and some innocent people, Hindus and Muslims, were killed. So right away, the narrative was Pakistan killed them, and then they bombarded Pakistan, and then India lost 3 or sometime 5. The truth will never, they won't admit planes which they spent millions of dollars. And then President Trump says he was able to stop this war, which probably, not probably, I think, which is true, because India was exhausted and they knew that somebody need to tell them. So this incident never investigated, no truth has come out, but it helped Modi government win the Bihar election, which just happened a few days ago. So this is how they create. So what they do? Crisis construction and framing. Each government framed the incident as existential threat. Hitler, communist revolution, Putin, Chechen terrorism, Modi government, Pakistan sponsored terrorism. They suppress the opposition. Nazis arrested and silenced left-wing parties. Russian critics questioning the bombing were marginalized or persecuted. In India, opposition parties were delegitimized as anti-national or seeking accountability. Even the Rahul Gandhi was portrayed as anti-national. Centralization of power. The Hitler achieved full dictatorship. Putin consolidated long-term authoritarian rule. BJP strengthened its national mandate and restructured Kashmir's political structure. So they changed Kashmir from a state to union territory. So they lost their whole rights. Public opinion through fear and nationalism. A fear-driven emotional climate enabled population to accept emergency powers, wars or military operation, major constitution or legal changes. So they are very similar. It's like one is copying the previous incident to achieve the same goal like the previous tyrant has done. So this is how tyranny it takes power. So dictators become more stronger. They create situation or they seek opportunity from a situation, and by the time people understand, it's too late. It's too late. Modi is already almost like a Hitler or Mussolini or a very close friend of Putin who is teaching him how to do what he does.
And of course, Dr. Grewal, one of the reasons why the Sikh community has always been a target of the Brahmanical elite of India is because of that very reason. It's the Sikh community that have, in fact, I'd even go as far back as the first guru, have tried to warn ordinary Indians that apart from the fact you are living in this straitjacket, this prison of the caste system, is that you are living in an increasingly tyrannical rule, particularly in recent years. So it is the Sikh community that is trying to wake the rest of India up to the conditions that they are living in, and under this potentially authoritarian dictatorial rule that is developing in India. And again, that is why the Sikh community has become a target and why they have become essentially an existential threat to the Brahmins. And that is why, again, the Brahmins are trying to drive out, let's say, a Sikh culture, the Sikh community, and any cultural identity of the Sikh community. So my final question to you, Dr. Grewal, is it's clear to me as an outside observer, and I'm sure it is probably the same within the Sikh community itself, it is unlikely the Sikh community are going to wake the rest of India up. It's unlikely that they are going to defeat this tyrannical regime of India. Do you therefore think the only solution is to establish a different nation, the nation of Khalistan? And do you think, firstly, that will provide a sanctuary, not just for the Sikh community, but do you believe it will provide a sanctuary for others within India who finally wake up to the fact that they are not living in a free and democratic nation?
Yes, that's what they are afraid of. So I give you an example. One of the Sikh gentleman, businessman, told me this story personally. He went to UP, that's Uttar Pradesh, from Punjab for some business he had. And he met a very learned Brahmin there. And the Brahmin says, Sardarji, what is your problem? So this gentleman, just like typical other people, he say, oh, we have a problem, they're taking our water, we have this problem, we have that problem. He says, Sardarji, you don't even understand your problem. And this gentleman said to Brahman, okay, well, maybe you can educate me, tell me what is our problem. And the Brahman says, honestly, he says, your problem is we want to annihilate you. We want to swallow you, but we can't do because this Guru made this Guru Granth. if the people they can buy, killed, intimidate, and all that, but the Guru Granth Sahib teaching is what keeps us going. We don't believe in caste system because that's Guru's taught. So that is the major obstacle they have. They can control people, control their mind, but they cannot control the teachings of Guru Nanak. And they're afraid if these teachings spread to other states, other places, which already slowly happening, that they will lose superiority. They control the society from birth to death. And they're afraid they will lose that. And that's, I think, the underlying reason for the whole fight, persecution that we face.
That was a very powerful message to finish up on, but unfortunately we must end things there. But we will be talking again with Dr. Grewal soon to continue our discussion. Dr. Grewal, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Angus. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
And thank you for watching the Satluj TV podcast. We will see you next time.